This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're gonna acknowledge me.
All right, everybody, guys and girls, welcome back to another edition of the SmackDown Review right here on the WWE Podcast. As always, I am one of the hosts of the show, Michael Ritter. You can find me on Twitter at Michael5Ritter or on Instagram at MichaelRitter5. Also, one of the hosts of the Football Function Podcast, available on all of your podcasting platforms, including Patreon or whatever podcast or whatever platform you're listening to this podcast on. Joining me on today's episode to cover the SmackDown that aired on October 14th, 2022, John Carrasco. John, how you doing?
And I am doing good, and it is good to be back here in Funky Town, breaking down this review as normal and everything like that. So, yeah, it was a good show, Happy to be here, like I was saying. Good work week and stuff. I mean, I know you got to follow up for one more day, but
one more day, got to finish strong.
It's going to be a good one, just a little ranch, But other than that, man, can't really complain about it. But yeah, I am happy to be back.
Glad to have you back. You can find John on Twitter at Big Speaker, BIGG_speaker. You could have found this episode of SmackDown in New Orleans. Unfortunately, that's where this episode was. I guess it's where it took place, basically. Me being a Falcons fan, obviously, if you do not live under a rock, you know that New Orleans isn't necessarily a place that we, think fondly of. No offense to anybody who lives there. If you're a New Orleans resident, it's nothing against you, unless you're a Saints fan, in which case, no love lost, no love found. You already know the drill here. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and talk about this SmackDown that aired, like I mentioned, on October 14th, which is today, whenever we're recording this. Pretty good episode, I have to say. If I... we'll be honest, I didn't really know what to expect going into it. A couple of the matches were already announced, like the Sami Zayn versus Kofi Kingston match and the LA Knight versus Monsoir. That match was also announced. But a lot of the good stuff, in my personal opinion, came with just the things that kind of played out off script, I guess, if that's what you'll say. I mean, just a way to phrase it. And that's, for example, the stuff with Rey Mysterio. We didn't know that any of that stuff was going to happen. That was a pretty good part of the show. The way the show opened, which we'll get to that here whenever we actually start breaking down the show. But needless to say, a lot of good stuff happened on this episode, and that's why, in my personal opinion, I would give this SmackDown a good rating. I'm not going to give it a grade rating, like a letter grade or anything like that, but just know that I was satisfied with what I was watching. So we can go ahead and dive in here and start talking about this SmackDown. And I mentioned the way that it opened, a little bit unorthodox. It wasn't like a segment in the ring. It wasn't even inside the arena. Outside of the arena, I'm not really sure what it's called, like the Smoothie King Center or something like that. It's where the Pelicans play. But there was like a car collision or something like that. And it ends up involving Karrion Kross and Scarlett. And out of nowhere, we see Drew McIntyre run up, and, the brawl ensues right out there. This does play a factor into the show because Karrion Kross was one of the 4 participants in that Fatal 4-Way match. Now, obviously, because of this, he was removed from the match. Now, it kind of was put in the back burner. I know that, it might be on me. Just some of the other things that were playing out in the show, I really wasn't thinking about the Karrion Kross being in the match and how that might affect it until the match actually happened. And like I said, we'll get to what happened there. But that's pretty much, how the show starts, sets the tone immediately for one of those really intense episodes, and I feel like the rest of the show kind of followed suit.
Oh, yeah, and I do agree with that. I mean, I wasn't expecting this to start off, so it was definitely like a boom, right in the face, I guess you could say. But for this to actually, start happening, there's actually, I feel like there's traction now with the Drew and Karrion Kross, Drew, he's actually starting to get his, fight backs, I guess you could say, attacking him from the behind and stuff like that. So it's definitely good, and I did enjoy that strap match, though.
Yeah,
that
like
was
it
a
had
good one
Extreme
right there.
Rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Extreme Rules was a pretty good pay-per-view, by the way. We haven't got a chance to comment on that. Bray Wyatt making his return was, it was a the pop says everything you need to know about that. Just
like the little characters is what kind of threw me off about it. I was like, okay, I mean, there's some stuff that I haven't seen before, so this is definitely going to be something that I'm keeping my eyes on.
Yeah, and I didn't expect him to come to SmackDown either, because he didn't appear on Raw, did he?
No.
Okay, that's what I like to see.
Yeah, I heard it, he was going to be exclusive to SmackDown.
Oh, that's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. But anyways, we can kind of continue on here, and this is the way the show technically really opens, because this is after the actual intro of the show and the music and all that good stuff. But it starts with the Sami Zayn and Kofi Kingston match. However, before that, it's basically set up by the New Day coming out, and they're talking about their 432-day title reign, and for whatever reason they bring that up, and they talk about how long it's been since they've had a championship. They're about to I guess, feud with the Bloodline, where it's no secret the tag team championships do reside there, the unified tag team championships. So maybe we can expect the New Day and the Bloodline to have some sort of feud going forward in the near future. Maybe get Big E back at some point. I can already see him and Solo going at it. Just from an aesthetic view, looks like it would be a pretty good match. But from the other side of this, that was the New Day's pre-match antics. We also get some Bloodline action. They're right there in, gorilla position right before they come out to make their way to the ring. And I guess Sami Zayn is kind of, having a little bit of conversation with Solo, and, Jey Uso starts to walk up. But it's really whenever he gets a phone call from Roman Reigns where things get interesting. And he's talking to Roman about, like, it's clear that he's talking about Sami, because he says, hey, I'm looking right at him, this and that, all that good stuff. Eventually, Jey Uso gets the phone, and he has to, say, you're the tribal chief, so I really don't even know exactly what was said on the phone. You could use your imagination there. They're pretty much leaving the ends loose, so you can fill in the blanks and basically, make that segment, whatever you feel like it is. And the thing I took away from this, as far as the phone call and Sami Zayn getting the phone back and it being an inside joke, is clearly from last week and just, I guess, Monday Night Raw and just where things are right now. Sami Zayn is elevated since the whole, just from keeping things SmackDown related, being assigned the, I guess, responsibility of handling Jey Uso and him being a hothead. It's clear that Sami Zayn, I guess, I don't know, he's able to be himself a little bit more. You can tell that it's obvious that he feels a little bit more comfortable with where he is in the Bloodline, and he's not necessarily somebody who's tagging along, but truly part of the group. And even Solo, kind of agrees with him. But anyways, they go out to the ring. They have this match, this one-on-one match. Goes back and forth for a while. It's pretty long, actually. There is 2 commercial breaks during this match, and that's how you know it's really long. I think it takes, right up to 20 minutes. I don't know for sure when the exact promo part of this segment ended and when the actual wrestling started. So I don't know the exact timestamp of this, but it was a lengthy match. I can tell you that. Kofi and Sami Zayn, they definitely are capable of putting on a long match. The way this thing ended, it was pretty smooth as far as Jey Uso getting involved, because it was a little bit of a roll-up counter. They kind of just kept going back and forth. And right whenever Kofi Kingston was getting the momentum of the roll-up, just leverage body position, Jey Uso did what they did back a few feuds ago, I guess is what I should say. I don't know if it was against the Street Profits or maybe somebody else. I don't know, whenever they were doing this kind of jumping in, using that little bit of almost like a reverse baseball slide. Whenever somebody does a baseball slide, they go out of the ropes, underneath the bottom rope, and they basically drop kick somebody. Well, the Usos, as you know, Jey Uso tonight, did that from the outside of the ring, used his feet going in to kick Kofi Kingston backwards. Sami Zayn ends up getting the roll-up victory. A little bit of a beautiful thing. One thing I did say, though, while this match was going on and Sami Zayn was kind of doing his little dance, that's one of the things that I noted here. Put a little bit of an underline is Sami Zayn, whenever he does that little two-step dance, whatever he's doing, it's good stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was pretty good right there. I did enjoy that freaking smooth. It just looks so smooth to me. I call him Jay Smooth on that one. Do
you know what I'm referencing though? Whenever they did that in the past in a previous match.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Holding them I guess kicks
Yeah,
him
and he
stuff
kicks
like that.
him,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, I get
Okay.
what you're saying, but yeah, I do recall that. But yeah, man, the only thing that kind of like pointed out to me was whenever Sami Zayn, he went into the corner and he started doing that little honorary Uce chanting, like it was just him, and then Jay was over there looking at him like, for real, it was just a little funny thing that I kind of picked up on. But other than that, I mean, I thought it was a good match. I do think that at least the New Day should have some type of, opportunity to defend that legacy that they got going on, with the title reign, or not the title reign, but the longest title reign, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Whenever
do
they
think
were champions, yeah.
should be involved, but I don't think it's gonna go anywhere past that. I'm already looking towards like the brutes, I guess you could say.
I got you. Before we move on from this, Jey Uso's super kick that he hit on Xavier Woods on the
Yes.
outside of the ring, man.
That looked nasty. I went back and like rewatched it on Twitter like at least 3 times, and Xavier Woods, he just plays it off so good.
As somebody who's taken several super kicks, you should know that was a beautiful one, though. The way he, just absolutely threw that bad boy. But
Yep. All day at work.
yeah, definitely. But they take things backstage. This is where Triple H makes a rare appearance on SmackDown. Usually don't see him too often. I know he was there for the season premiere, and he kind of just said welcome to SmackDown and all that good stuff. But very rarely is he actually there on a storyline reason. And out of nowhere, even more confusing, Rey Mysterio walks up. He's clearly a Raw superstar. His name, the graphic that said his name on the screen, even was in the Raw font. It was red. So clearly, Rey Mysterio is a Raw superstar. And he basically, tells Triple H that he's reached his breaking point with Dominic. He's not going to fight him. He doesn't care. He's not going to fight his son no matter what he does. And he basically tells Triple H that he wants to quit. Now, right here, I was like, what the hell's going on? Like, come on, Ray. You can't do this. You can't let Judgment Day and your freaking son be the reason you walk away from WWE. And then Triple H tries to, let cooler heads prevail. He tries to, I guess, talk him off the ledge, for if you want to use that expression or whatever. But calls him into his office. They go in there. Who knows what they talk about. We do end up finding out that there was a solution reached later on, and that solution is that Rey Mysterio is I guess he's the newest member of the SmackDown roster. This is big. All right, number one, me and you are SmackDown guys. We love the fact that, a premier talent like Rey Mysterio is being added to this roster. That's number one. Number two, he is a SmackDown legend. This is where his WWE career was started. This is where he made a name for himself here in the WWE. And he helped put SmackDown on the map just as a legitimate brand, and the things that he was doing with that Cruiserweight Championship and, eventually being pushed to the World Heavyweight Championship picture. He's had a phenomenal run on SmackDown, and it's included a lot of championship gold, and who knows, maybe he'll be on the path to getting more championship gold, and that will, play out a little bit as we continue on this episode of SmackDown. But up next, they keep things backstage. Shotzi introduces Roxanne Perez, NXT talent. And they basically have a lot of NXT talk here. They talk about the Pick Your Poison match with Cora Jade, correct? And I guess her opponent, because of Roxanne's choice, is Raquel Rodriguez. And I don't really know the connection there. I am not an NXT watcher. This is just kind of the segment that played out here. But Damage Control does show up, and Bayley takes offense to the fact that she wasn't picked to be this Pick Your Poison match or whatever the stipulation is. And then Roxanne basically just says, hey, you're on a losing streak. So I couldn't really do that there. Obviously, Bayley's like, oh, you done messed up now. All right, you shouldn't have said that, because we do get a 6-woman tag match a little bit later in the show after these two kind of chirp a little bit back and forth. What do you think about this?
Well, I thought that was pretty awesome. Like, I was kind of seeing like this Pick Your Poison thing like happen,
because you watch NXT
a little bit. I mean, I try
You
to stay in
tune
tune
in,
with it.
yeah.
So yeah, I was seeing that, and I was, well, of course, like the Cora Jade was like the thing that kind of like brought me all into that and stuff like that. But yeah, I had seen that, and I was kind of excited for it to happen, And then of course on Monday they're gonna choose, or Cora Jade's gonna get to choose that, so I'm definitely gonna be looking out for that. But yeah, this whole thing kind of happened, and it turned into something better, I guess you could say.
All right. Yep. Definitely a nice little fun segment here. And up next, we get a nice little fun match handicap match. Braun Strowman takes on local talent, I'm assuming, enhancement talent. James Maverick and Brian Thomas in a handicap match. Pretty much a squash match. The Monster Bomb, I guess is what it's called. Just the way he picks these guys up and slams them down. I mean, this is definitely takes some days, if not weeks, off of your life. The way that these guys bounce off the mat and sometimes bounce off other humans, especially the way that it happened tonight. But before this match ended, Omos and MVP come walking out of the crowd, Shield style. Did I miss something? Because remember, I haven't watched Raw, so I didn't know if maybe something had happened leading up to this. This is brand new? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I thought so. It definitely caught me off guard, and as the segment kind of, started playing out, I realized, okay, this is clearly like the introduction, like, hey, we don't really appreciate your nickname. That's essentially what the beef was. MVP questions his nickname, the Monster of all monsters, because he says that Omos makes Strowman look normal, and obviously Strowman disagrees. He says multiple things, takes his shirt off, flexes, screams, you might be bigger than me, but you ain't badder than me. That's actually what he said. If you caught him off mic, it was pretty clear, but yeah, he definitely let Omos know that he's not going to back down from this challenge, and this is pretty much what we've all been waiting for from the second Braun Strowman made his return.
Well, it definitely turned into something that I'm going to be invested in. At the beginning, seeing this guy, his introduction and stuff like that, I wasn't too excited about it because it was just like these unknown names, I guess you could say. He's going against people he's just demolishing, I guess you could say. So now you put him up against Omos, and that's where the eyebrows go up for me, So that's going to be something interesting for me. So I'm in for it, but I can't really say what they're going to go, what storyline they're going to have. Maybe just two big guys battling it out. But other than that, what can be made out of this, I guess you could say.
Well, we can go ahead and move on to another match here. And this match I know is one that had your interest from the moment that they started coming out. And it's LA Knight versus Monsoir. But hey, who was the first person that came out here?
Maxine.
Exactly. See, so take it easy, all right? Just kidding.
That was an eye popper right there, especially what she was wearing. I was kind of like, dang,
Yeah, no doubt. But yeah, I mean, this match was kind of, the seeds were planted last week when we saw that backstage attack. Mm-hmm. And it was actually advertised at the end of the show that this match was going to be taking place this week. Number one, LA Knight's theme song, one of the best, just from the pure music aspect, from an era where there's a lot of wrestlers with pretty generic, bland songs. Like when you look at Alexa Bliss's song, man, on Monday Night Raw, it's one of the worst. It really is. Just, I'm not even going to impersonate it. Damage Control, another one that's just like, come on, what are we doing here? There's several others, but hey.
I agree on that one.
Maybe we make an updated top 5 wrestlers theme songs. But hey, don't forget, we still got the stock episode that we need to do. We need to quit slacking on that. We need to get our stuff together and deliver on that episode. But anyways, just so y'all know, we didn't forget and we're not neglecting it. That is on the list. There are other things on the list as well. So it sometimes gets a little bit crowded and, it's tough to do everything when you want to do it. But hey, stay tuned. That's definitely going to happen, and other top 5s are going to be coming as well. So you'll definitely have a pretty good reason to tune in to the SmackDown review. But as far as the match itself goes, LA Knight versus Monsoir. LA Knight does win with a BFT. He grabs the microphone, proceeds to run down the New Orleans crowd. You know that we love that here on this show. And then he puts the entire WWE roster on notice. I like this. I really did. It makes LA Knight seem legit and credible, and I know it was just Monsoir, but hey, on the mic, he's one of the best, and I feel like that was a well-spoken and well-delivered promo. You could expect more of that, and I think that as he gets more and more, I guess, matches under his belt, now that he's, out of the suit, back in the ring, I think that he's going to, I guess, kind of similar to, let's see, I don't really know who I can compare him to, because The Miz is still, pretty universally disliked. He's respected by a lot of people because of his, tenure and his body of work and all that stuff. But for the most part, his character and just on a weekly basis, he isn't cheered. He's booed. People don't like The Miz. I think LA Knight can kind of get there, where people, undeniably respect him because of his mic work and his in-ring work. But he's just one of those guys that, I mean, you saw it tonight. He literally said, like, I enjoyed the fact that he ran down the New Orleans crowd, but if he was here in Amarillo where we live, he would have ran down us too. You know, that's just the thing. He made it very clear, hey, I don't need your respect. You whatever he was calling him, you know, I don't want to repeat it on the show because, you know, he's taking some shots, and, you know, those shots are going to come, and I'm excited to see a TV 14 LA Knight whenever that time comes, and a lot of other wrestlers, man. We already had that top 5 wrestlers we're excited to see on TV 14. LA Knight's definitely one of them. But do you have anything on this before we move on?
I definitely do, and I don't know if this was probably just like me thinking like a little bit too hard into it, but if LA Knight, if he put all this MMM together to eventually like introduce himself back, I guess you could say, introduce himself back into this, like where we are right now, he did an awesome job. You know, I'm behind him. Even whenever he put the whole freaking crowd down, you know, I kind of felt like I was one of those people because I didn't respect him at the very beginning of this. So for him to do that, man, yeah, I'm totally a fan. Write me down, sign me up, or whatever you want to say. But yeah, he definitely got me hooked.
For LA Knight to, I guess, create a faction.
Yes.
And then, you know, shortly thereafter, leave that faction one way or the other, whether he gets kicked out or he leaves himself, and the faction continues after he leaves. I feel like Edge has a little bit of a reason to say, or quote Soldier Boy, you know, and say, you know, he copied my whole flow, you know, word for word, bar for bar, you know, creating the faction and leaving ultimately, and then continuing after. Anyways, a little bit of similarities there with LA Knight and Edge, but I think this is better off for both of them, to be completely honest. Although I will say Judgment Day was a lot better with Edge. That's a whole nother story for another day.
I agree.
I'm not a huge fan of them without Edge, but and I was never really a fan of Maximum Male Models. But as far as the two wrestlers, you know, respectively go, Edge, he's without a doubt he's locked in. You know, it doesn't matter what type of character, what storyline he's in. He's got that grandfather, or he's grandfathered in, I should say, as far as like, no matter what he does, I'm always going to enjoy Edge. LA Knight, he's without a doubt better. You know, the Maximum Male Models, he was doing well in that role. He really was. It wasn't for everybody. It wasn't everybody's cup of tea. That's perfectly fine. But he was still doing well. You know, he was making lemonade with the lemons that he was served. But now he's in a situation where I feel like he can thrive. Being this heel where he's by himself, this is where he's more comfortable. I feel like it's obvious, at least from the eye test perspective. You can clearly tell that this is where I feel like he's going to thrive, and I'm glad we're going to get to see it on SmackDown.
Oh yeah, I agree with that, man. Yeah, just like that last little promo that he had cut, man. That was just like it was just the cherry on top, I guess you could say, for all of that, you know, for just to come together and stuff. But yeah, I'm totally a fan of his, man. I can't deny that.
I'm glad to hear that. I think we're going to get better stuff from him. But moving on, we get a 6-woman tag match. Damage Control versus Raquel, Shotzi, and Raquel Perez.
Roxanne.
Oh, my gosh.
It's all good,
I apologize
man.
about that. Hey, you know, it is what it is. You know, I'm reading my notes here, a
R's
bunch of
over there.
R's. It is 11 p.m. here. All right, cut us some slack. But anyways, little roll-up action back and forth. Does give Bayley the win here for Damage Control. It was a pretty good debut for Roxanne. That's why she does deserve to have her name pronounced correctly, or said correctly, I guess, is what I actually did wrong. I didn't even say the damn name right, or the right name at all. But anyways, she has a good showing here despite losing. I feel like she actually displayed, for the people who aren't familiar with her, like the SmackDown audience, that she does bring some good stuff to the table. And, you know, I don't know if this is a call-up, if eventually she's going to be on the SmackDown roster. Typically, if they get this type of, like, I guess, airtime on roster, if you just look at the track record, very rarely does this happen, and they don't eventually become part of that roster.
Well, I mean, like I said, I was all into it for just the NXT part of it, you know, the match and everything. But I feel like Shotzi was the one that kind of stood out to me, you know. Whenever the beginning of this match, she's going, you know, doing her little stuff on the side of the ring. And I felt like she was like the main performer, I guess you could say. But Bayley, man, I can't get past her, I guess you could say. I mean, she's definitely all doing her thing, especially like the little back and forth that she has with Michael Cole on the side, screaming at him and stuff like that.
Yeah, they go at it.
Yeah, that's definitely like some good entertainment for me. But I didn't think that she was gonna be the one to like get the pin, I guess you could say. I thought it was gonna be like one of the like Io Sky or Dakota Kai on that side, but they got all taken out on the side of the ring, all the flips and stuff. I was like, dang, especially Raquel. I thought she was trying to like catch Io Sky out of that moonsault that she does, and I don't know, that was just all bad. But I don't know, man. Bayley, yeah, she's starting to notch up for me too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Like in ring?
In ring.
Okay.
Yeah,
She's great, man.
The only thing I didn't like was that rose plant that she did at the end. It looked kind of just off.
A little sloppy.
Yeah, that was the only thing. But other than that, she's making her way.
She really reminds me of Seth Rollins, and it's not just the similarities in their entrance music, it's just the way that they go about their character and just I don't know, just
like
something about
in tune with them.
Yeah, yeah. I've always kind of seen a little bit of similarities there, but anyways, let's continue on here. Hit Row versus Legado del Fantasma. Last week we saw the attack. They attacked them from behind a little bit, kind of similar. This was like a dominating match, to be completely honest. LDF is what I'm going to call them. They actually do dominate here, even on the outside. Zelina Vega attacks BFAB.
Dude,
and,
she's looking good.
Takes her out, and then, Top Dollar is no match for the other two in the group. I know Santos Escobar, the one who is clearly the ringleader of this group. The tag team, I beg your pardon, I'm not familiar with them, so I don't really know what they're about in the ring. I know they could probably go. If they got called up from NXT or were at NXT in general, they have to be able to go in ring. I need to get more familiar with their characters and who they are. Are they just, some slapstick tag team, or are they actually, a group that can, bring some good stuff to the table? Because I wasn't extremely familiar with Imperium before they got called up either, and they've really caught my eye, and now I'm like, I'm on board. I could see myself, jumping on this bandwagon as well, especially with the presence of Zelina Vega and what she adds to that group, because she can also go in the ring as well. So I will say, I'm all for this, this version. Because Top Dollar, I get it, or not Top Dollar, just Hit Row as a team. They're more tolerable for me because they're actually wrestling. They're actually in a feud. You could tell that whenever they came out today, they meant business. They didn't even let LDF come out to the ring before they ran out there and attacked them, So you'd like to see that they were brawling before the match actually gets started. But once they actually get out there, and that's not really a good look for them, though, because they attack them before the match and they still lose decisively, so.
Yeah, that wasn't good on my end. I mean, like you said, it is good that we're seeing them in ring and stuff like that rather than just all the backstage stuff. But LDF, like I said, going to call it the same thing. Yeah, they look pretty dominant, especially last week whenever they came out with all the mask on and stuff like that. I was kind of like, okay, who are these guys? And then whenever they all stood next to each other, all suited up, I was
look good.
I was like, oh yeah, this looks like another Roman and Usos type thing.
Yeah.
I was kind of
Triple H loves his faction. You can tell. Damage Control, Toxic Attraction. Just there's several different groups, and it seems
who knows how many there is any now, or at this point,
Imperium, Brawling Brutes.
Yeah,
Bloodline.
I'm okay with it because you get more people in the ring at the same time, you get more action. So, if we're moving to the wrestling side of this, let's do this.
And the more the merrier. Company, Everyone likes someone to talk to, and
right.
just groups traveling together, all that good stuff. I feel like it is a good tool to use in the wrestling world, but keeping things backstage, or I guess moving backstage, I should say. Sonya Deville has a backstage interview with Kayla Braxton, and she's just taking shots at Liv.
Okay, I don't know if you noticed this, but she was suited up. Do you think that meant something?
No. It just meant,
Okay.
she was just, that's her.
I was probably just picking into it.
Because, did you watch NXT this week?
No.
Okay, well, I saw on the internet that she made an appearance, and she, helped out Toxic Attraction.
Okay.
Because her and Mandy Rhodes are, best friends. So, they've been.
Saw their little donuts that they make and stuff.
Yes.
Dang.
So, I don't really know. I don't know if that's connected at all, but I personally, I think she's a wrestler. I don't think the suit means anything. I just think that's just how she was dressed backstage. She wasn't prepared to wrestle, and it just maybe they were trying to hit home that she wasn't expecting Liv, or that she was just there, just giving a simple interview, and the fact that, she got attacked, she really wasn't seeing it coming at all, but that's exactly what happens. Liv Morgan does come up. She attacks her. It's a pretty, good attack. They end up going further backstage where there's actually some equipment there set up around the set area where they do the backstage stuff, the interviews and all that. And she climbs up and she does that little spot she did to Lacey Evans through the table in the outside of the ring a few weeks back. She does the same thing right here and just puts Sonya Deville right through a table. You said you caught a Fiend, Bray Wyatt.
Bray Wyatt, yeah.
A little Easter egg in this shot. I didn't catch it, so where was it?
Okay, when she was standing up over the table, I guess you could say, before she was gonna climb that ladder thing or whatever she went up on, there was a little black box that had a yellow top, kind of looked like the Christmas light box that we have, and that B or whatever that's upside down, was on that, or a little sticker. Okay. So that's what I had seen. I was like, okay, maybe she might be joining them. But this psycho side of it is what I've been wanting. I'm definitely all for it. I can get behind this storyline if it kind of does move into a direction of that. But yeah, I'm not mad at this at all.
Definitely a dark side of Liv. And actually, speaking of Liv, I showed this to you earlier today. She, I believe, is going to be on the episode of Chucky, October 26th.
She is. I seen that too.
I like that.
Yep.
I do like that. And I saw from her interview from her, she intends on dying in this episode. That's all she wants. She doesn't want to be a star. She doesn't want to have a leading role in the show. She simply wants to get brutally murdered by Chucky. That's her own quote. So, gonna suck. I do watch this show, so I don't want to see Liv die. Also,
gonna be a turning point, man.
Deb from One Tree Hill is in Chucky as well. She's the mayor. And starting season 2, not gonna lie, I have some feelings, some gut feelings that she might be biting the dust, that Chucky might get his hands on her this season. But who knows? I'm holding out hope that it doesn't happen. The same way I'm holding out hope that it doesn't happen to Liv Morgan as well.
Well, I mean, whenever you were talking to me about it, I was kind of like, oh, man, I can kind of see Liv doing a dramatic dying scene in this. But then again, at this point, what if everything's starting to play into each other, Halloween, all this type stuff, of course, Yeah,
you're a big Michael Myers guy.
Heck no. But, yeah, we can save that story for another time. After dark, guess you could say.
Yep.
But
not too dark, though. You still got to drive home.
Yeah. Oh, man. See him on the freaking driving up. And then, man, you see those videos on Twitter where he kind of looks at you. I'm running that red light.
Yeah, definitely got to be careful. But luckily, I mean, speaking of Chucky, that's usually when driving in the dark. That's when Chucky will get you. Michael Myers, he's not really going to get you there. He'll be the one that you'll be at your house. You go in, you shut your door, you're shutting down your house, and as you turn off the lights, you'll see outside of the window. You'll see his head just standing there watching you, and it's that piano music that.
Yeah, we don't need it right now.
That's the thing that'll play as Michael Myers there. But anyways, we can get back on track here. That's shout out to Chucky, shout out to Liv Morgan getting on Chucky. Definitely good for her. Sasha
awesome.
Banks got on Mandalorian a while back. Mm-hmm. So you see these things happen, and I know Liv's a pretty big Chucky fan. She actually had Chucky gear a few years ago, maybe last year or something. I don't know what it was, but I knew that she was a Chucky fan. So anyway, we could kind of put a pin in that. Move on to the fatal 4-way match for the number 1 contender spot for that Intercontinental Championship between Solo, Ricochet, Sheamus, and it was supposed to be Karrion Kross. But we talked about him getting, beat up in a car wreck, essentially, before the show started. So there was a vacant spot. There was an open spot in this fatal 4-way, and instead of turning it into a triple threat, they add a participant. It was a little bit of a surprise factor, and this is whenever they announce that Rey Mysterio is an official member of SmackDown going forward, because he is the 4th participant in this match, and he has a hell of a performance in this match. You could tell that he was excited to be back on SmackDown, where he, like I mentioned earlier, made a name for himself here in WWE, and this was just a hell of a performance for him. I feel like, throughout the whole thing, basically, there was interference from the Brawling Brutes, from the Bloodline, but it was essentially Rey Mysterio hitting that 619 on Ricochet after Ricochet sold the hell out of that move. And I don't even know what it is, but if you watch this match, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Then Rey Mysterio hits the 619, and he rightfully earns his way into a match with Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. I do believe he's going to get chewed up and spit out. Like I said, I don't think he has a shot here. But, hey, who knows? They brought him over here. They gave him a segment where he, his move over to another brand was announced, and I like that. We'll see if there's any trickle-down effect on Raw. Are they going to get a superstar for Rey Mysterio? We'll see. I don't believe they need one. Raw seems to be doing pretty fine on its own, but obviously Rey Mysterio is going to be a void that's left there. And does this mean Judgment Day is going to make their way over here at some point? I mean, I feel like it has to, right? They're going to show up and attack him.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be a kind of good thing because I feel like there's some stuff, Judgment Day, I have some stuff to say about it. I wouldn't want to go on to a rant about it, but once they come over here, man, I'm going to have so much to say about it, I guess you could say, especially the Dom thing. But I don't know, man. It's just this match right here, like I thought it was kind of just paired up nicely, like how we had like two big guys, in Sheamus and Solo, and then we had two high flyers in like Ricochet and Ray, So I kind of felt like it kind of just like was a pairing, like the whole time, Sheamus was going at Solo, and he got him with them 26 shots, and I was just like, dang. And you had mentioned it, that last hit whenever he was going down.
That happens a lot with Sheamus.
Yeah, I didn't notice it like that. I was just okay. I mean, I thought it was kind of just like casual and stuff like that. And then you said it, I was like, okay, maybe something is about that. But I don't know, maybe be a little bit more careful. But I am happy that Ray, he got this win. I feel like it was like more well deserved rather than earned at this point. Just all the stuff that's going on with his family, man. It kind of does suck. It does suck to see like a grown man like try to cry.
On
like
Raw.
At the beginning of this show. Whenever,
Okay, yeah. When he was going to retire, yeah.
Yeah. I was just kind
of
like,
quit, I should say.
Yeah. Well, I was just kind of thinking, oh man, this is too much. Like. You should be able to beat your son up at least one time. At least one good butt kicking in your lifetime. Beat your son up. I think, especially if it's well deserved.
The scene comes to mind from Step Brothers when I don't know, I'm not sure exactly which scene it is. Maybe whenever he gets a hole in the drywall, or whenever he basically says, no, different scene. The scene that I'm referring to is whenever when he tells him to keep his hands off of his mother because she's a saint. And that he needs to get down there and write Dale and Brennan a check for $10,000 or something along those lines. And then he goes down there, takes off his belt or something like that, bends him over his knee and starts spanking him. And he says, "You're next." That's what Rey Mysterio needs to do to Dominic. I feel like give him a nice whooping on a Miz TV or something like that, a segment where they have a nice platform.
Yeah, that would work for me at least. Like I said, just that one time, man. He has to be able to buckle down, and punch him one time. At least something, man.
Yeah.
Gosh, I just can't see that moving too forward. So I'm glad that, this kind of happened, bringing Ray over here to the SmackDown side. And he was saying that he was home, at the end of that match after he had won and everything like that. So it kind of felt like it was a little home bringing, I guess you could say.
And I feel like it's a good way to separate these two to, I guess, in a way, continue because right now, like, Dominic still isn't out of Rey Mysterio's shadow, especially when they're on the same brand. Like, if we want to have Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio have a match at WrestleMania, they have to be separated right now for a little bit. You can't go from September or however long they've been doing it all the way to April. Like, that's too long, like, for a mid-card feud. Like, you can't really do that. Excuse me. So I don't really know if they would take that route. I feel like moving Rey Mysterio over to SmackDown allows them to let them do their own thing truly for a little bit. Let Dominic kind of grow as a superstar without his dad, without being under his dad's wing in Judgment Day and becoming this new version of himself, while also giving Rey Mysterio an opportunity to not just, have to worry about, Judgment Day coming up behind his back and, attacking him backstage or whatever it is, just interfering in every single one of his matches. Being on a different brand at least somewhat decreases that percentage of the possibility of that happening, right? So I feel like it does make sense. And like I said, maybe at the Royal Rumble or a pay-per-view down the road, we could see their paths cross again. But like I said, I have a feeling that it's going to be very soon that we see the Judgment Day show up on SmackDown and, try to raise hell over here.
Yeah, I'm all for that, man. Like I said, whenever they get over here to this side, so much stuff to talk about.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah, because I really don't know what's going on with this Finn Balor stuff and AJ Styles. Like the who was it? The OC that had got brought in. that was kind of like a big turn for me again right there. So, I mean, it's just so much stuff that they got going on, that you can talk about. They have 4 people, like the whole Edge thing over the Extreme Rules with Beth and Rhea. I think she played that off, that concerto so nicely, So I can't really complain about what we're going to be able to get out of that. But, yeah, Judgment Day is a whole nother story, man.
I agree. I have some similar thoughts, and I would love to touch on that. I planned on doing it on the WTFW show, but I was not able to make an appearance on that this
Shout
week.
out.
Plan is to be there next week. Hopefully that happens. Kanye Twitty's supposed to join my show, The Football Function, this Sunday for the Week 6 review, so hopefully you guys will tune into that. Definitely do that. But anyways, this does bring us to the main event. Bray Wyatt, he comes out, and this was interesting. Clearly, this was more, the person, not the actual character Bray Wyatt. You could tell. I mean, I've never heard him talk like this. He was having trouble getting through it from start to finish. And, basically just talking about how the WWE Universe and his fans in particular really saved him, from being in a dark place, talking about how rough the past year plus has been for him, losing people in his life or loved ones in his life, losing his career, losing his confidence and just basically the belief in himself. And he truly feels like all of the fans and the people who are constantly asking him, when are you going to come back? We miss you. We need you to come home. Those are the people that, really got him out of that dark place and, brought him back to where he is now, coming back in WWE. And I feel like he's here he's here to stay, number one. Because I'm not going to lie, it was the way that promo started. I was unsure where this thing was going. But so the way it ended, obviously, he is back doing interesting things as always. With Triple H at the helm, man, Bray Wyatt can really be a star. He really can be, just with the type of character he is. Excuse me, because we all know that there's dozens and dozens of phenomenal wrestlers in WWE and all of wrestling. I mean, that's something that you at this point, it's like being like I mentioned on the Football Function. If you're in the NFL, you should be able, and you're a running back, you should be able to get on the field and rush for 100 plus if your offensive line blocks properly, because, I mean, you're that good. You've gotten to that level. So in WWE terms, if you have gotten to WWE, you should be a phenomenal wrestler, to go through, because there's so many indie wrestlers out there who are pound for pound just great wrestlers. And there's some wrestlers in WWE who you look at are extremely sloppy. Dominic Mysterio is somebody who I haven't been behind for the longest time. Just because of, I feel like it's different with him. You ultimately can't grade him on the same scale because he didn't get the same type of development and practice and coaching and all that stuff. You can almost say that he had a benefit and better because Rey Mysterio is his dad. This is his life. But I also think that he got the elevation that maybe he wouldn't have gotten had his name been somebody else. He got to kind of cut in line is a way to look at it. But you got something?
I was going to say, the way this is all played out from him to a kid, or from him being a kid to now, is great. I think, the storyline that's behind it and everything like that. So there's a benefit to that, but I do agree that he should probably be on the NXT side of things.
Yeah, he really should, as well as some other people. But like Bray Wyatt, where I was getting with this is he obviously, he's a phenomenal wrestler. Like, he's been in the WWE for so long, and just a professional wrestler for so long. So clearly, bell to bell, he can go, and he gets this. But it's the extra stuff. It's the stuff that you almost can't teach, dude. The way that he invests in his characters and the true money and things that he invested into the Fiend character, with his mask and his ultimate devotion to that type of supernatural character was crazy to witness. It, looking back on it, it's almost crazy that it even happened. It's almost like a dream almost. Did that really happen? Do we really have a character like the Fiend that was in WWE? And I want to see what Bray Wyatt does now, going forward. What is he going to be? His theme song, like I mentioned, it's almost like it's babyface theme song, number one. Clearly it's a babyface theme song, but it's not like anything he's had in the past. That's the thing. So that's what really gets me, where are we going with this? Because I truly believe that a person's theme song does reflect their character and ultimately who they are. So I do want to see where they go with this. I'm thrilled that he's a SmackDown wrestler. I hope that he stays a SmackDown wrestler, and I hope that like this draft, this rumored draft that's supposed to be happening inevitably at some point, doesn't change that. But who knows? You can't keep all your guys. But Bray Wyatt is somebody I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what he does here in his second tenure with the company.
I do agree with that, man. I'm pretty sure I told you this whenever I started watching wrestling again. Is the Fiend character is what kind of like brought me back into the WWE world. Whenever he was going against Randy Orton, I want to say at that time. But yeah, for him, for him to bring me in, go away, and then for him to come back like this, like the only thing that I didn't like about it was the build up for it. Like I felt like too many things like kind of were given to us we already knew that, or of course we knew Bray Wyatt was going to be coming at Extreme Rules, like all these little nuggets that they're dropping, like even in like the little flyers that they're making. That's what I kind of took for it. So that kind of like took away from the whole like comeback for me, because I already kind of like knew. So it was kind of just like all right, yeah, let's get past this. But then again, like for this to happen, kind of actually get to know a little bit of the guy himself, definitely more invested, I guess you could say. So he brought me back and he's got me back, I guess you could say. So this is definitely a good thing, and I am ready to see exactly what he is going to do, because I am confused. I kind of thought the guy behind that mask in the video was him at the time,
Yeah.
Because he was holding up that little lamp at the
That's the
time
thing,
too.
dude. Like, I don't even know if it's him or not, because I'm pretty sure it was whenever he came back and he took the mask off, and that's when they knew, oh, that's Bray Wyatt.
That's what I was thinking.
So is this like another split personality type thing?
And then I was kind of reading, like, what if, like, the 6 people that he's supposed to be bringing back is just going to be, like, 6 different personalities of him.
Okay.
So that was kind of like a little eye raiser, I guess you could say.
That's the
Maybe
thing,
something
man.
that can be, because he's already had so many gimmicks, like, I'm pretty sure this dude can come up with the good thought, creativeness to actually put that into existence, I guess you could say, But
For sure.
it was just something that I had seen. But yeah, definitely excited for him to be back.
Yeah. Bray is an addition that really makes you feel good about where the company's going. The return of Cody Rhodes, another one there. Just having Roman Reigns currently in this position, the emergence of Sami Zayn and getting the opportunity to showcase it. You got to feel good about where the company is going right now from like a men's perspective, from a women's perspective. It could always be better, obviously, but I do feel like it's going in the right direction with good things to come. I'm looking forward to the TV 14 era making a return, and a lot of good stuff in store, man. I'm really excited to see where WWE goes from here, but that does do it for John and I here on the WWE SmackDown review, WWE SmackDown review right here on the WWE podcast. Trying to get it out, guys. You got to bear with us. It is damn near midnight. We are struggling here. At least I'm struggling here. John doing a damn good job. I am, dragging myself to the finish line, but it's been a long week. The week is not over, though, for me. I still got to, do a little bit of something, but hey, glad that we can get the SmackDown review finished, knocked out, and sent to Matt so he can get it delivered to you guys, and you guys can all use it while you are enjoying your weekend or your Saturday, whatever it is that you're doing. I hope that you're having a damn good time doing it, and I cannot thank you enough for, inviting us into your day and, letting us join you with, whatever it is that you got planned. But, John, you got anything to say to the people before we sign off?
Well, yeah, I definitely want to say, thank you for making this a part of your week. This is starting to grow on me. I'm coming around my year, man. So it's gonna be a nice little pop for me, I guess you could say. So it's something I'm looking forward to.
When is that?
I'm dropping off my little nuggets for everybody right now.
New Year, right?
January 4th was my first taking notes, my first coming over here doing all this stuff. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that, man. I know I'm a couple months off, but
yeah, you got to start, planting the seeds.
Yeah. I was already like starting to think about this whenever I was like driving over here, and I was like, man, it's already been about a year, So I'm kind of like, I don't know. I was kind of just excited about coming over here today and stuff like that, just because I hadn't missed last week. But yeah, man. I mean, yeah, definitely thank everybody. Appreciate everybody that interacts with me and stuff like that. It's definitely great every week. The mailbag, something I always look forward to. But yeah, definitely want to give you a shout out, man. Your football function, you are doing y'all's thing over there. I do appreciate you bringing me on a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah, you did great.
You say I did great, but dang, did I struggle, man. That's a different different type of podcasting over there, I guess you could say, just notes and everything like that. But yeah, definitely shout out to you, man. And yeah, definitely want to end it like that.
I appreciate the kind words. Appreciate you guys for listening. Hopefully you guys will come back next week as we continue getting closer to Crown Jewel. I'm looking forward to what that pay-per-view has in store. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of stuff to look forward to be honest. But that's one that I am looking forward to. And I know I'm not going to be able to watch it live because it's just going to be on at a crazy time in the day. But I'll tune in a little bit later, see Roman Reigns absolutely smash Logan Paul. Looking forward to that for sure. But anyways, guys, one more time, thank you so much for listening. Have a damn good weekend. Walk passionately in the direction of your dreams. And I will talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.